Well, I'm told that my soundboard might be making popping noises, so let me know if that actually is the case, audience, since it's still turned on for you all, but not on Zoom. Grimdark James, thanks for that sub. Wow, amazing. How could I have predicted that would show up on the screen? I'm a little empathic, a little psychopathic. Wait, I meant psychic-pathic?
Psychic-pathic?
I don't have any werewolf references this time around. I don't have any prepared jokes. I've got nothing. Zilch. Nada. I worked for months, and no one even noticed, and I was indeed mocked afterwards. I did just get done grilling some really good stuff, so at least I've got that in life. Pondo, you seem distracted, so rather than jump to you, I'm going to go to Big Spoon.
Yeah. So I started watching a couple new shows. I've been watching Cyberpunk Edge Runners. I'm about halfway through that. It's been pretty good. I've been really enjoying it.
Rebecca.
Yeah, Rebecca, like that. The whole crew is pretty great. Like I really like Maine. So yeah, it's been good. And then I finished up the Terminal List.
The whole thing.
Yeah. I think it was good. I think it would have been better as a movie. I feel like. It had some pacing issues kind of in the middle. I think like there was some really kind of slow episodes where I wasn't really sure what the not necessarily what the point was, but it was like, really driving home a point that I think we had already gotten as the audience.
It had similar vibes. Did you watch No Remorse with Michael B. Jordan?
No, but that was one of the movies where I was like, I feel like this is just like a longer, more drawn out version of No Remorse.
Yeah.
The action was great. The action was really solid though. I liked that a lot. I really liked. I hated the character, but I thought he was really well played. Was the Steve Horn character by Jai Courtney?
Yeah.
I thought he was a very interesting character, and
see, I know someone just like I knew someone just like in real life. When I was originally bodyguarding, there's a guy I used to work with that was just like that, who he couldn't get into the army because of his eyesight issues, but he was obsessed with like the sort of weekend warrior stuff. So that's why he got into bodyguarding. Ended up going over to Iraq to work for a PMC. Yeah. But with no military experience. So.
Yeah, I feel like that was that guy, and I was like, wow, this is a huge douchebag, but man, he pulls it off really well. And like, so there was a point in the show where there's a reporter who's talking to an FBI agent, and something comes up where they're making a metaphor with David and Goliath, and they're asking which one is the main character. And I wanted them like, he's neither. Like he's like the sling and the stone, and because like he's like that's. I feel like he's not really the hero of the story. Like he is just the plot device that is pushing forward the mystery. I felt like the hero of the story is like the reporter who's trying to get the truth out there and have justice be done, whereas Chris Pratt's character is just like, I'm gonna kill all these people because of what they did, which right. I see his point.
I have no idea what this is, but like for some reason in my head I was thinking it was like some shitty like Amazon Prime TV show, but if they've got
you're right so far.
Yeah, you're pretty much spot on so far. It's the Amazon Prime TV show version of movies like Shooter, like No Remorse, like Man on Fire, all those like
Man on Fire.
Yeah, Man on Fire is great. It's like if you like this type of plot, go watch those movies rather than sinking a bunch of time into a TV show that.
So
conspiracies that go way deeper than humans could ever actually achieve because we're so fucking disorganized.
Yeah.
So it's Chris Pratt trying to get the most out of his like MCU body before he goes back to being Chris Pratt from
Yeah, kind of.
From Parks and Rec.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, like that. The action's really good. The conspiracy plot, while it's it's been done before, I think this was really interesting as far as like the direction that it went in. The plot twist not really plot twist, but the reveal at the end, like I saw coming, second episode. I was like, this character's probably bad, but I'm not really sure why.
Where do you sit on the line of like, oh, there's a plot twist at the end being a spoiler or not a spoiler? Like, where do you sit with that? Because that's like saying, hey man, the spoiler at the end of The Village.
Oh yeah. So
You know what I mean?
So I would say
yeah.
in this case, it's not really a spoiler at all. Like because it's like there's a bunch of, is this person involved in the conspiracy? Are they not involved in the conspiracy? And there's enough characters that are like, we don't know, that saying, who is it going to be is not really a spoiler.
Okay.
Listen, I want to talk about
like
my favorite conspiracy theory in television of all times.
Sure.
Let me take you back to Battlestar Galactica. They released
2012 or 1980?
2012.
Okay.
They released the information about the 12 Cylon models. And, we had the original 7 or whatever, and then we had the 5. And we basically got to know 4 of the 5. And then there was the question of who the fuck is the 5th Cylon? Who's the 12th Cylon? Who's that last Cylon? And there were polls and there were theories. There was Adama is the Cylon. And I was just like, no, flat out 0% chance that this one is true. But my favorite one was this like 20-page document that proved that Doc Cottle, the physician who only shows up in like
that is like
1/7 of the episodes,
yeah,
was actually the Cylon because of all the stuff he did with Gaius Baltar, and like he's the only one who could have faked the medical test to prove he wasn't a Cylon and hide the other Cylons. And he always seems like he knows more about what's going on than everyone else. He doesn't age, despite the fact he looks like he's about to die from smoking every single day.
Well,
it was
actually,
extensive.
What you don't know about Doc Cottle is he's only
I
like
bought
32.
into it, man. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. If my choices are Adama or Doc Cottle, I'll go with Doc Cottle all the way. That's number 2. Now, of course, that wasn't who it was, but, I wanted to believe.
Yeah.
Please continue.
There is no greater spoiler in the world, right, than playing the Battlestar Galactica board game before you watch the show.
Before you watch the show. Yeah. And then go, hey, it's these people.
But no, here's the thing, right? Like, I had no idea this show existed, and I played the board game. I was like, oh man, that was really fun.
It's a great game too.
But the characters, like the Cylon cards, have the characters on them. But if you've never watched the show before, you don't piece it together until you watch the show, and you're just like, this entire show has been ruined for me because of these fucking
it's so much worse.
That's a spoiler. Dave.
Penny Arcade,
that's a huge spoiler.
Penny Arcade did a comic about playing the Battlestar Galactica game, and Mike Krahulik was like, a quorum deck? What the fuck is a quorum deck? Why are there so many card decks? And after everyone gets done setting up, he goes, okay, my card says Cylon, and everyone at the table goes, fuck!
Yeah, that's like sitting down to play Shadows over Camelot, and you go, hey, what does it mean to be a traitor? Yeah, what does that do?
That game...
They killed it. Man. The Penny Arcade guys killed it at Shadows over Camelot. They play with Will Wheaton and Tara Strong at Tabletop. Oh my god. Matt Krahulik was just like, I don't trust any of you. I'm going over here? Do not accompany me, my liege.
Yeah.
So the thing about Battlestar Galactica that was way better than any of those other trader games is like, there are... You play with people sometimes and you don't know if it's because they're inept, or because they're a Cylon, or because they're just a human being. And no other trader game that I've played is like that, because you play like, Dead of Winter or any of those other types of ones like that, and you can just kind of piece it together. But with Battlestar, it's just like, but what if he's actually stupid?
Yeah, what if you actually got two really bad cards and he had to play a really bad card? That's all he had, But it's a really bad card. He must have done it deliberately. You're going to lose all our water damage.
That game has a special place in my heart, and I will never play it again with people that I love.
Got anything else, Spoon?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, I see your orders for our Mega War Game test, and I wish you the best of luck in your upcoming battles because I will destroy something. I'm gonna get something. Maybe it'll be an arm. Maybe it'll be a mech. Maybe I'll finally get that Phoenix Hawk pilot.
I mean, he's hanging by a thread, man. He's hanging by a thread. Yeah. Like, Jesus,
imagine taking 5 head hits.
What were those APCs armed with, dude? Just machine guns?
They were
like
SRMs loaded with anti-mech rifles.
Jesus Christ.
Don't worry, audience. No one here also understands what the fuck you're talking about.
From what Fohammer tells me, they immediately drove directly towards the Warhammer, and then every infantry deployed at the same time. And just wave attack. And the Phoenix Hawk pilot had the unfortunate position of having moved slightly in front of the Warhammer, and so became the new target.
He just got shot in the head a bunch. Jesus. Oh, man.
Incredible. Hey, listen, I'm working on new shows, Dave. This is me doing playtests so I can do new shows.
But I do have one
and I
question.
Are having fun playing. This is all Grimdark James's idea. James came to me with this like 8 months ago, and I've had it on the back burner. I've been trying to figure out how to do it properly. I've been working with Stonar for like 2 months.
I mean, I think it's going really well.
You think so, huh?
Just, I mean, like not tactically, tactics aside,
the AI to intentionally target you in the upcoming battle.
Like,
just you and your fucking mech.
Kill that marauder. Yeah.
You can build a specific AI model which will target one unit if you wanted to. But you got to learn Java though.
You got to script it yourself, which means I'm totally safe.
I do know how to program, right? I just absolutely
fucking hate
it. You're programming your ink when you should have decked, and suddenly that unit just spins around in the circle for 5 turns.
Exactly.
We'll see how much spite he builds up to get to the point where he's actually going to program that code.
I do have a question though. Is this the enemy unit, Buffalo's battalion or whatever? Are they an actual battalion size?
First off,
unit?
It's Buffalos.
I'm sorry, Buffalos
battalion.
I see.
Buffalo. If it was Buffalo, it would have 2 Fs.
Yeah,
but it very specifically does not.
Okay,
it has 1 F because it is
I
Buffalo,
just assumed. I'm sorry.
is an Italian surname.
Okay.
So in line with this, back in 1988, the second book that came out for Warhammer 40K was the Warhammer 40K Compendium, which introduced robots to the board game. You can have robots in the battlefield, but in the old rules back then, you had to actually write a flowchart for the game that would determine how the robot would act. And you could in the war game, you could only follow the flowchart. And it gave 2 examples in the book of flowcharts you could use, but one of them was inherently flawed, where it started off with, has a target been selected? No, select a target. Is the target friendly? If it is yes, go back to the top. Otherwise, if it's not, then go and engage. The problem was, though, that you go back to the top again. Okay, is target selected? Yes, because I've just selected a friendly target. Okay, if it's already selected, I don't need to acquire a new target. I just shoot at it. So,
you basically deploy your robots on one side of the map and then the rest of your army completely away from them.
Incredible. That sounds awful, and I bet that the tournament scene was an absolute fucking shit show.
Well, yeah, and the unit costs more points.
Just screaming at each other. No, this is how it works.
And the unit costs more points depending on the complexity of the flowchart.
Oh my god. Yeah.
4. I greater than. You got anything else? Oh, you were asking me a question
is it
about...
is it a battalion?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my god, we're so fucked.
You have 2 companies. What are you worried about?
I've got like not anymore.
I don't have a full battalion anymore either, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I got a whole fucking lance that's lying on the ground right now.
Yeah.
That fucking recon lance?
That got sent into grasslands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they were like, yeah, 1 mech survived, I was like, what?
So here's the trick to taking a big forces of Mega Mech when they're AI controlled, is don't move towards them. Because they will all move towards you at the maximum speed, which means if they've got units with 4 speed, units with 8 speed,
don't help them.
They're getting to you partially at a time. So it's like the whole martial arts cliche of fighting one guy at a time.
I'm trying to have a good war game. I don't need you min-maxing and tricking the AI and making them walk in a circle for 5 turns. I don't need you speed running and using a bomb to throw yourself on top of the castle in the first stage and getting 7 stars, using an invisible warp tunnel.
James knows all the Mega Mech hacks.
He's going to need them because when he joins the war game, I'm just going to be like, all right, you have to fight 7 Atlases. You've got a commando.
It's
Jim's
a
gonna be like,
battalion.
well, I'm going to really have to edit this game log.
It's a battalion of Mad Cats.
Wow. I really want to do that now just because I love it so much. All right. Pondo, you seem like you're less distracted now. Can I cut in on you?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Were you building something? You had the building face on.
Yes, I finally got to pretty much the last stages of my controller build, the gaming keypad build.
You got your programming problem solved?
Yeah, I can't explain what the situation was, but I switched the code and it worked out fine.
Yeah. Before that, Pondo was just spinning around on the spot.
Yeah, so it's I was talking to the guys through Discord in a Discord about it, and they're like, I have no idea what happened to you. I'm like, that's great. Just do this. Okay. Because I talked to someone else about it, and they're like, that's strange. Yeah, tell me about it. Because I tried multiple boards, multiple analog sticks, and I still came with the same problem, but it's fixed now. It's no problem. That's pretty much all I've really done this week, other than actually opened up Cyberpunk again after a long, long time.
Me too.
Did you have the same problem that I did, where your entire fucking skill tree was evaporated, and you're like, I don't know how to play my character anymore.
I decided. I mean, I finished the game briefly, so I started the new game. But word for the wise, with a new patch, disable cross saving. Otherwise, it really slows the game down. Unless you actually want to have the same save be applicable to Xbox and PC and PlayStation.
I don't like Cyberpunk 2077 that much.
Okay. Yeah, so disable cross saves. Otherwise, it really can chug the game.
Yeah, I'll do that because it seemed like it was running slower than it used to, but it seems to be running somewhat better than it used to. As I was driving,
a lot of things, you walk up to a character and the character won't start talking to you until it's finished auto saving to the cloud.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
No, I noticed the driving has gotten better because I was able to drive and not fishtail every 5 seconds trying to make a turn or whatever. So that's a plus. But I think ultimately, if I decide to play more of it, I'll start a new save because I had already done everything in that save pretty much. There was like one random gig that I had to do for Rogue that I guess didn't had time to load up before.
Can I just say, fuck the Delamain quest? Like, just that quest sucked so hard. It was buggy. I didn't have
that much of a problem with it. It was annoying trying to get all the other parts of the personality, essentially. I don't know. It was okay. It wasn't a great quest, but it wasn't a terrible one. And yeah, the one I liked was the Bozo quests. Those were fun.
No country for old bozos.
Yeah. So during the fist fight, I was actually trying to legitimately punch his nose to see if it'll explode, but it wouldn't let me do it. That's it from me, to be honest. Yeah.
All right, chat is coming up with Mega Mech Abominations, and they need to stop right now. A galaxy of clan refit Rack 5 Urbies. No. What would it defend? Terra?
My childhood. You said Furbies, right?
Urban mech.
Urbies. Yeah, urban.
I could see a mech strapped with Furbies. Just screaming while on fire.
Welcome to...
Yeah, I was going to say, Camachos Caballeros did that. The one pilot who put action figures and toys on the outside of their mech in order to absorb impact. They're like, it's not going to do much, but it looks good while they're exploding.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, Dave. Now that you have something in your mouth, let's talk.
Wow.
So
What a fucking segue.
Cyberpunk Edge Runners is legitimately amazing. And I say that as a wizened referee.
Where does it fit against other trigger works like Kisniver, Gurren Lagann, and Darling in the Franxx? What's the other one people lose their mind about?
There's a lot less sexuality in Cyberpunk, even though there's explicit sex in it. It's weird. Like
that does sound weird. I would have thought Cyberpunk went 1 billion%. Okay.
I mean, yeah, they don't really have any sex stuff in there. I mean, it's like on the side, like characters just be like, "Yep," and then they don't show it. It's not, but like, you know, the characters are not hypersexualized or anything like that, which is like a weird omission for a trigger.
No, I'm on this level.
Like, but what makes it really good is like the themes that they deal with. Because one of the things I've always wanted to do as a GM for Cyberpunk is run a game where the characters completely and fully comprehend the characters that they play and the tools that they have at their disposal. And so far, that's never come up ever, because I'll be honest with you, it's a tremendous fucking slog to get anyone to willingly want to indulge in all of that, like rules and
Dave, I throw people off of roofs. My special power is a large checkbook. What do you want from me?
That's rule of cool. I'm talking about the mechanics of the actual game. Right?
I'm telling you that corpses are fucking useless. I had points in wardrobe and styling.
But there's definitely a mechanical disconnect though between the RPG and the TV show, because no one yet has shot. I've only 4%. No one yet has shot themselves in the face with their own gun.
Well, it's
while trying to execute an unconscious person.
James, you are a beautiful butterfly that we set free and immediately died. I had to be like, no, come on, guys, we can't have him die. Right here, literally his first roll.
We can't have him die shooting someone in the back of the head who is helpless from his own bullet.
It's probably based on Cyberpunk Red. So
it reminded me of roleplay Dark Heresy, where they'd be like, I have my gun to the back of his head, and they'd be like, okay, roll. And they're like, you shoot yourself in the right leg.
you shoot yourself in the right leg so badly that you blow it off and you bleed to death.
Yeah,
so, they shot a lot of legs in that game.
Like, I will say, like, the game itself might have been like a bit of a fuck up. A tremendous fuck up. Let's call it what it is. But I will. CD Projekt Red are fucking killing it with the mixed media right now. Like the idea that you can watch the Cyberpunk anime, recognize a location, go to that location in the game and see the fallout of the things that happened in the anime there is fucking awesome. That's like almost unheard of these days a little bit. So I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I recommend everyone go watch it. Even if you don't like the game or whatever, you'll probably enjoy it all the same because it is Trigger animation. So they are fucking insane master smiths of anime. So yeah, I got my bathroom built finally. We found a
in the
Ukrainian...
kitchen. You sent us pictures of the kitchen.
Yeah, the kitchen I managed to fix myself.
The kitchen looked great, by the way. Like it was.
Yeah, so that the kitchen was basically I had to the previous owner put like decorative concrete, like the fucking 5-minute DUI bullshit things you see. He put decorative concrete on the wall, so I had to sand all that off. Almost died from inhaling concrete powder, and then I just got some vinyl and stuck it on the wall, and it's like a million times better. So, but we found a Ukrainian man to come over, and he was like, so okay. So first, we had a plumber come over, and he did 90% of the work. Then he refused to come over, and refused to get paid for the work that he's done, which is fine by me. Then we had another plumber come over, and he's like, "Yeah, it'll cost 1,700 zlotys." And I'm like, "What?" And my wife was like, "What? That seems like a lot." It's like, turns out it was because the job we were looking at was like 200 zlotys, right? Rather than what he was offering. So then we had a Ukrainian man come over, and he just fucking, no complaints, just does it. You know, just, here you go. And we paid him per hour rather than per project. So he helped me install today like hidden blind rail system in our living room to put up like massive floor to ceiling, wall to wall curtains, like a cinema style stuff. Fuck. Oh my God. I have never had so much problems trying to install something in my life. Insane.
Did you get a hammer drill in the end?
No, because I managed to find someone to come and do it. I would have absolutely needed to buy one to do what I did today, though, because the way I would describe it is like drilling through bedrock, you know, like while you're looking up at it. It wasn't a fun experience to say the least. So, but we got it done in the end. And apparently we asked him at the end, he's like, "Yeah, I can fix your electricity problems. I just don't have the tools with me today. I'll come back on Friday." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that'd be so amazing. If he just shows up and fixes everything, I'll be like really fucking happy." And it's finally getting colder here. So we'll see how it is to be in this house when it's snowing. So.
Well, I'm the opposite here. It's actually, so this is the first week where every single day is above 20 degrees Celsius. So it's like, you know, high 60s, low 70s every day now in spring, for those of you who like Fahrenheit.
I just wanted to add, for the audience's benefit, 17,000 Polish zloty is 36,500 Norwegian krona.
He said 1,700, not 70,000.
Well, then that's 3,675 Norwegian krona.
Couldn't even do the joke right.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed in you, to be honest with you.
Wow, James. Wow. What's got you today, James?
Like I the moment Dave said
You
it,
really want to end the show tonight, huh?
No, there was a delay, and then I saw Arthur start typing. I'm like, okay, he's going to do the joke. So.
Of course, I'm going to do the joke.
Yeah. Read
You
like
want
a
to
book.
explain it too? No, but James, tell us what's going on with you.
Oh, me. Okay. Let me think. I have suddenly gotten extremely busy because I have been trying to chase a work-related deal for months, and then suddenly on Friday, they're like, oh yeah, okay, we'll come and meet with you on Tuesday. So I have to put together a 4-hour presentation for what will be a multi-$100 million deal for Tuesday. So all the time this weekend that I'm not doing this streaming, I am working on preparing for that event. So yeah, it's gonna tax a lot of my time over the next sort of 48 hours, I would say, 72 hours. And then I start traveling next week. So I go to Melbourne next week, and then I'm in Dubai a couple of weeks after that. So fun times to get back onto aircraft again. But also this week, I have played not 1, not 2, but 3 Warhammer board games or tabletop games. So last week after the show, after I saw that on my mother's computer, I got to play Horus Heresy for the first time, which I lost the game 13-10, but it was good that it was down to like literally, I could have still won it in the last round if I could have killed 3 Terminators, but I only killed 1 Terminator. My only complaint with the system is that, and unfortunately this is more realistic than regular 40k, is that in Horus Heresy you can get to the point where certain weapons just can't hurt things. So if you're firing just small arms at heavy tanks, there's nothing you can roll that will do damage. Where at least in 40k rules, you can always roll a 6. You can always there's guaranteed failure and guaranteed success in 40k. 30k hasn't got that. So I suppose that you could go the strategy of work out what your opponent has that can damage your most powerful thing, and then just try and focus fire that stuff down, and then effectively have an invulnerable unit on the board, which is not a tactic I like, even though it is also very realistic to modern warfare. But I still enjoyed the game though, and thank you to the person who taught me the rules, who I also gave the details for this show, so he might see my thank you at some point in the future. And then I played 40k during the week with my friend with his Black Templars army and had a win, and then I played again the other day against my friend's Thousand Suns army and had a loss. So 2 losses and a win for me this week. But when you're playing, you're winning, right? Just like walks. And I also too have started watching Edge Runners. I'm only 4 episodes in, as I said, but I'm also really enjoying that. But it's just, I've got so much stuff to get through right now. My wife and I are still on House of the Dragon and Rings of Power, and now the new Handmaid's Tale started, and my wife wants to watch that, and we're watching The Amazing Race, and we're watching Sandman and She-Hulk. So, and Andor starts next week. Just, if it's insane amounts of TV watching at the moment. And I've just found out that I think we're about 40 days away from the season 2 of Carnival Row. We quite enjoyed this first season of Carnival Row as well.
Is it about clowns?
No.
Is it about British people?
It is British. It's a
Not
Victorian. It's a Victorian era show set in a fantasy world where effectively it's like Victorian England, but if you also had like fairies and trolls and orcs and that sort of stuff living in Victorian England. But it's all about casual racism, because like the humans look down upon all the non-human races and put them into
cyberpunk shadowed one.
Yeah,
okay.
put them into ghettos and the like. So yeah, that's probably about it. Any questions? You okay with everything I've just gone through?
I mean, if I wasn't, what would you do about it?
So I've been that getting ready for presentation mode. So it's always like, pause after each salient point to identify if there's any questions or any need for elaboration.
This guy, he's such a good presenter and a good interviewer, and we'll have that interview that James does 90% of out real soon for Hero Forge. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, no worries. You clipped it. Excellent. Oh, and look at me. I haven't even got my recap sheet open. Let me open that. Rookie error. All right. Previously on Rogue Trader Strings of Fate, on the planet Sacris, the crew meets with the research team studying the enslaver virus, which is affecting some members of the planet's populace, including the Storm Warden Space Marines. Word soon arrives that Wulfric Nostromo has commandeered the Hand of Calixis using the Navigator Imperative and is moving the ship towards High Castle, the fortress monastery of the Storm Wardens. The group leaves Sacris bound for High Castle as the dreadnought guard of the research facility insists that it is now time to wake the Wardmaster. Chapter Master McClear deposits the crew on the Hand on the way to High Castle after learning that there is fighting on board the ship and the Harlequins have reappeared. And finally, the crew fight a manifested enslaver outside the Navigator's Oculus, slaying the warp-spawn creature, but killing the Stroma and many of their psychics in the process. Thought for the day, damnation is eternal. So, I think we're...
Thought for the day, if you masturbate, you go to hell.
I'll see you there, Dave.
What if it's your job to encourage masturbation, Dave?
Well, then I'm the right hand of the devil.
Shit.
All right. Well, thanks. Just gonna go ahead and demonetize this one on
Yep, might as
YouTube
well.
real quick.
You can untick. This is primarily intended for children. Yeah.
For this
piece of
Warhammer
content-
40,000 game? Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. What piece of content have I ever created besides a mouse guard that makes you think that I would ever take yes on that box?
There was an attempt with Pokemon at one point, but then I screwed it up immediately.
You're right. Okay.
Isn't that the
true.
one where Commander just immediately curses?
Yeah.
What,
No, yeah.
what about the food one, the food dungeon?
That
I'm
was
pretty sure
not,
supposed
there
to be-
was no attempt to stop the swearing in that one.
Yeah. I'm guessing that button is just to make sure work out what goes on YouTube Kids, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Look,
so
you say that, but
there's
they
bigger
still put
penalties.
ads on. They still put ads on those videos, man.
No, there's more money. That's why you want to advertise to the kids. There's more
know.
money if you make a kid-friendly video because you get way more advertisers and they're willing to spend a lot more money to advertise there.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure it was supposed to be. I remember a while ago that it was supposed to be like, "Hey, this is for kids, so don't monetize or don't put ads on it." I thought that was what it was
the
supposed
complete
to be.
opposite now.
Yeah,
It's
it's-
massive
it's-
fucking bucks. That's where all the money is.
Yeah. It's like I don't know if it's the case in America, but in Australia, supermarkets make more money from what the companies pay the supermarket to play where they place their products from they do from the sales of the actual products, including what to put low where kids can grab and say, "Buy me one of these," like candy bars.
Mm-hmm.
So Kinder Surprise kills children. So yeah. Just swallow it whole and suffocate.
Yep.
Because
All right. Well, Arthur, I challenge you in the next 12 months to produce a video intended for YouTube Kids.
I thought you were going to say in the next 12
literally
months to produce
Just
a child.
fucking spent. I literally just spent months plotting a Mega Mech show for you, James.
Yeah, well, you need new
And now
brainworms.
I'm
So
in the middle of running that fucking show. And now you're like, I want you to undergo a new show. No, fuck you. You make a video for kids. You know what, James? I challenge you in the next 12 months to make a Warhammer 40K podcast for the Grimdark podcast that could still be good for kids. You make a Warhammer 40K podcast that's good for kids in the next 12
I've done
months.
that. I had my son, at the
do it
time,
again, James.
my 8-year-old son come onto my show and give a review for kids of the Warhammer 40K.
No, it can't be your
novels.
son. You have to do it. And
Yeah,
just because he did it 4
I-
years ago doesn't mean it's
interviewed him.
relevant now.
I interviewed him.
All right, well, you are good at interviewing someone. You got me there. But you have to do it again.
No worries, I'll interview my daughter this time. Same topic.
That's it. I saved the Grimdark podcast. You can thank me later, Twitter, you relentless, unthankful sons of bitches.
Hey, she wants to be a social media influencer, so I'll get her started this way.
There you go.
I gave her one of my old no longer functional iPhones, and now she walks around the house going selfie with the non-functional iPhone.
As a social media influencer, I should tell you to run screaming away from that job.
All right, sorry. So yes, we were literally in the aftermath of the battle. So
Just stop.
okay.
We should mention that this is the final episode, right?
There is a
Depending on who dies.
there is a slim possibility that if a lot of very bad decisions are made, that we could end the whole campaign here today.
You're explaining to me how players
Yes.
work.
Don't worry. I ran Curse of Strahd this week, and my players made all the wrong decisions, and now 2 of them are kind of evil. So
I actually told my wife that this would be the last episode, and she was like, "Oh, yay, you can sleep again." And I'm like, "Yeah, maybe we'll see."
All right.
There was a battle.
So
Yes.
the battle's over. The enslaver is dead. You effectively all people that were being controlled have either collapsed. If they were psychers, they're now dead. The Oculus is open, and so Riani's rushing in to try and disable the imperative so that the ship can be stopped. Although Ivy had successfully routed a lot of power away from the engines, and therefore slowing down the ship anyway. It wasn't any sort of collision course. It was just trying to get as close as possible to High Castle.
Yeah.
I mean, people sort of start to part as the Harlequins that are involved in the fight make their way towards you. So there's 4 of them that they've definitely lost one of their number. Like you can sort of see that in the background in the there's a dead Harlequin on the ground as well. But there are 4 of them, including the Shadow Seer with her mirror mask and pipes on her back, which aren't currently pumping. Well, there's like when there's like systems have like the little wisps that come out occasionally, but they're not pumping constant smoke right now. But there's obviously the residual stuff that still comes off the heated elements. Anybody looking at anything in particular before I start talking on behalf of the Harlequins? No.
I've got nothing at the moment.
BP, you look like you're about to say something.
I mean, I will resist the urge to kill Solandre Veilwalker. You go ahead, James. You give us your exposition before I murder her.
Although, let me just check something. Were you on the ship in this final battle? You were, weren't you?
Yeah,
he
was.
I didn't act
did the
because...
killing blow.
Yeah,
you were gonna.
Yeah, he bopped it with the staff.
That's right. Yeah,
After
you were
Don
going
went
to
in
stay,
And then I came back for him and went, I have an even worse plan.
Yeah. All right. So Veilwalker approaches you, Pierre. Is this like Lord Commodore?
Is this the first time I'm seeing this person specifically?
I think you've encountered Veilwalker before.
Was he the one that popped up in the middle of the gun cutter?
I
First
think she was, yes.
Okay.
Last time she appeared was episode 14, I believe. Where? Let me check my notes. Okay, this was episode 14 of...
We're outside the mass of Regina 4, meeting with the Faith in Fact.
Okay.
Talking to an exploratory.
She also appeared on Kulth immediately following the Orc battle.
Yes.
Anyway, you have 100% encountered her previously.
Okay. I say it's because all I recall is interactions with this person was with everybody else except for me. Well, long time no see, although it seems like you've been on my ship for quite some time. At least from what I understand.
We were being watchful for that, which indicates to where the enslaver was previously manifested.
You could have mentioned something beforehand, so it could have been dealt with.
We could have.
Then why not?
Why do we have to present all of your problems to you when you grow more by solving them yourself?
As much as that is correct, the issue is it could have been prevented. Thus almost losing the ship, many lives among it, etc., etc. And also now I don't have a navigator for the whole deal that I'm supposed to do.
Have you considered that maybe the path that you follow has been set for you by someone who wants you to follow it, not necessarily the conclusion that you believe?
I come to that fear every day, to be honest, at this point.
I believe that your new friends, the Storm Wardens, are now awakening their past leader, perhaps speak with him first, and then return to me, and I will fill in any other blanks before you decide upon your next course of action. A decision that invariably will be the most important one you ever make.
When the show will end.
Very well.
Make a save state, please, so that you can come back to this.
Smashing quick save.
I want to know what the other two endings are.
We no longer need to hide aboard your ship, so we are at your disposal until this ends.
That would be nice, yes. Thank you.
All right.
I guess we should go.
We should probably Vox Vox High Castle, tell them we're back in control of the ship. So
Yes, yes.
Blow us out of the void.
Yeah.
Well, I hopefully they notice that the engines are down, so therefore the problem is solved. If not, that is a good backup.
So your Vox operator will let you know that MacLear's going to send another shuttle over to pick you up and bring you to High Castle. Now it's obviously you've got control of your ship.
All right. I scoop up my Gyrinx. I look at him and he looks at me, and I say, Intrigue. And then I lay him over my shoulder.
Is that the Gyrinx's name now? Yeah.
No, not yet. I'm going to keep this Gyrinx as unnamed as long as possible, so that when the Gyrinx is dying, I can reveal the name and humanize it, so that you'll feel bad for killing it.
Okay.
I think that's.
And you'll give me a free fate point to bring him back.
It's like Hedwig. All right.
All right, I take my Gyrinx, who definitely has a name that I just haven't said on the show yet, and head to the shuttle bay.
Okay, no worries. So the Harlequins do follow you to the shuttle bay. They're expecting to go with you to High Castle.
The Storm Wardens will absolutely shoot them in the face.
That's a bad idea.
I don't think that's wise.
I'm accommodating in this. I want it to happen. In and out of character.
We'll wait here if you prefer.
I think that's wise for you, as I don't think you would survive the encounter. Or at least I might not survive the encounter.
All right, they just step aside and remain where they are. Where would you like us on the ship?
The waiting room just out of sight of here. I don't want Space Marine-sized bolters firing into an enclosed space.
Where are the other Eldar that we picked up?
They're with Shrain. They went to the...
oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, don't you remember the whole scenario? Shrain tried to commandeer the ship, but I was like, no.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I'm giving it to you.
I'll lend it to you.
Yeah.
Don't try to boss my stuff around again.
We
But
should
you're
have them
definitely
wait
not in command.
in a adjacent pilot's ready room
Sure.
where they can cause as little trouble as possible.
Okay.
And smoke all their Eldari weed.
Yeah, they just go to they go to a red room where there's just a box of Rinka just sitting on the table.
And there's spare t-shirts now as well because the machine is working overtime.
Yes, because all the power got rerouted to the t-shirt.
The power of Nero once again saving the crew.
All right. So it's a smaller ship than the Thunderhawk that picks you up this time, and they it's probably actually one of like the runabouts for one of their strike cruisers. So High Castle,
fully armed, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's still a
Space Marine runabout. It's still one of the most dangerous top 10 spacecraft.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not made for transporting space marines, though. It's made for transporting the human crews of their ships, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And they fly. So High Castle itself is so the moon isn't large enough to have an atmosphere, but it does have this construction on it, which is like I guess imagine if you took a Scottish castle and made it void sealed, so it looks like a stone castle emerging from the surface of the moon, but it is actually a sealed building that you can then fly a shuttle into, and the majority of its construction is actually underneath the surface of the moon. It's just like a visual edifice on top of the moon that you've flown into. But yeah, there are a lot of like the other ships of the Stormwaters have drawn close to the moon, obviously, aware that there was a danger, but also something immediately important is about to happen. So when you get off the ship, you are met by MacLear, the chapter master, once more, along with probably a librarian you haven't met yet. I take it everything on your ship is in order now?
Yes.
And what of these reports of Xenos on your ship? I overheard your Vox operator saying that there were the Eldari on your ship as part of the battle.
They've been dealt with as well.
Very good. The
Just
ancients
proceed.
The ancients have all seem to share the same belief that the time has come to awaken our former chapter master. It's one thing I should tell you is that we have determined that the ancients are immune to the effects of the enslaver virus. So many of them that exist from the time before the Nemesis incident. And they all have now come to the sudden, and they won't elaborate further on why this would happen. They are imperative, though, that we awaken name. Ward
I can't
Master
remember his name.
Owen Glendweir. So follow me. Be aware, though, that this is not a place to draw arms or show disrespect. This is our ancient home.
I wouldn't even come to that thought of mine.
Okay.
I'm gonna catch up with him and just casually pull a guy twice my height aside and be like, "We should speak privately, chapter master."
Well, he sends the librarian ahead with the rest of you while he hangs back with Androchiron then to see what you want to talk about.
All right. I just, I tell him that this whole incident was caused by a enslaver physically in the flesh aboard our ship that had infected our navigator.
Do you have any reason to suspect that other people on your ship are still affected by the enslavers?
We believe that they all died, but we are the only group that has left the ship. You can order a full scan of all of the crew members.
Perhaps before you leave this system, if you leave this system, we should have what was the name from? Sorry, my notes.
The researcher.
Yeah, we should send Ishmael Gerza up to the ship to examine the crew and identify any cause of concern.
My first thought was to just kill everybody who was mind controlled in the first place.
All right,
And
you're
burn
not
all
here,
the
though.
bodies.
You're not
That's
in this
just the
conversation,
Imperial in
Lord
me.
Commodore.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pierre just yells that in the in the hallway.
I think Androchiron recognizes it would be a bad idea to allow the Imperium to discover that we're aiding and abetting Harlequins inside. We're in Imperial space, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Are you aiding them or aiding and abetting you?
It doesn't matter to the Imperium. This guy called me a witch. This dude is the most racist fucker. He's a shining example of Space Marine stalwartness. He will fucking blow us up for sure. So I'll say, shit, I have some sort of dodge plan, right? I have some way to distract him. I am not certain that is necessary.
Did you bring smoke bombs into the Fortress Monastery?
I'm not certain that is necessary. I myself am capable of detecting levels of corruption, and I will actively begin looking among the crew for it. Oh, there's my dodge. Thank you. You mentioned, Chapter Master, that it weighs heavily on your mind whether we may or may not leave. Do you presume to give orders to a living saint?
All I'm saying is that the fate of you and your vessel is not currently high on my concerns right now, given what's happening with the ancients and their desire to awaken the former chapter master.
It is high in the concerns of the God Emperor, for he has sent one of his angels with us. And I am not referring to Space Marines.
Well, the good news for me is that if we awaken the Ward Master, it will not be my decision to make.
The good news for you is that if you upset a living saint, your death will be incredibly swift. I am her friend, and she has threatened to kill me several times, so good luck with that. And I turn and walk away.
Arthur, I thought you gave up your crutches.
All right, so the group is led down into the bowels of this fortress, which is actually, massive underneath the surface. But you're sort of going through multiple specially sealed doorways that always have armed guards. And for those of you that have any sort of concept of how Marines would work, this is sort of like into their stores, where they would keep their weapons they only bring out for certain occasions, or probably where the dreadnoughts are interred. Eventually you're led through a massive doorway into a large vaulted chamber, and lining both sides of the either wall are multiple, probably at least 20 to 30 Castellan pattern dreadnoughts, all in the livery of the Storm Wardens, which is, I don't know, give me a common law war rolls that have it.
The Castellan pattern?
Yeah, well, that's the standard 30K, so 40K dreadnought, basically.
Okay, I guess I just never
Thought I
seen
had
it's
common
called
law
that.
war.
Yeah.
Hang on. Oh, there it is.
Do I have that?
I'm
I don't
rolling
know if
another
I have
skill,
that.
but at a minus.
Common
3+.
Law War,
Nah.
correct?
Sorry, Castroferum pattern is the proper name for like that sort of style one.
I have Imperium or Trader, Archaeotech, Koronus Expanse, Imperial Navy, Xenos, Acquisition, Warp, Astronomy.
Do you not have war?
Tactica Imperialis, Tactical Imperial Warrants. Scholastic War Legend. No, I guess I don't.
Okay, so AP. This seems like a high number of dreadnoughts. So most chapters would maintain at an absolute maximum 2 dreadnoughts per company, which would be 20, and that would be like your Ultramarines, your Blood Angels, like the mainstay.
You mean
chapters.
Codex compliant?
Codex compliant, yeah. So it's not a case of compliance. It's simply a case of availability. There aren't that many dreadnought chassis or warriors that have died and have the compatibility to be interred in a dreadnought sarcophagus. This is a very high number of dreadnoughts, especially because this would imply, and this even if there were like none out on active duty, and this was just they brought all their dreadnoughts back here. This is a large number. So. But the far end of the chamber is a large mechanical construct that appears to be some sort of, think of like the sleeping pods in like Aliens, which are like the circular pattern with the multiple like domed or curved shaped pods, then attached to like a large mechanism, and there are several of those at the far end of the chamber that the dreadnoughts are all effectively guarding. And you're aware of the optics of these dreadnoughts, on you as you sort of pass through this chamber, along with the librarian and with the chapter master.
I'm gonna communicate to the party in Rogue Trader Kent and say, this is a unusually high number of dreadnoughts for this chapter, and they are all pointing their weapons at us.
It's funny. It's true. Someone's having a good time somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
Some high noon somewhere in the world.
Yeah. So you reach the far end of the chamber where all these stasis pods are, and you can see clearly, like, men of gene-wrought muscle filling these things in quiet repose. The librarian, it's probably the same librarian actually. I can't remember his name now, but the one that you spoke to previously.
I can't remember his name either. But I know you're talking about. Yes, he was
the one that's hard to understand because his Gaelic accent's so thick.
Or something.
Sorry?
Or something?
Maybe some of those lines. Yeah, it's not important. He does ask McLear whether they are going to be awakening all of the all of the people that have been interred here, or just the wardmaster. McLear sort of looks back to you like you might have some sort of insight into what this is about.
To us?
Yeah. Like, it's like he sort of, if you don't answer, he will come up with an answer on his own, but it's almost like,
How many agents are put to sleep?
Well, there are about there's 22 total who were all present during the Nemesis incident.
Let's say 5.
What a random arbitrary number.
Yeah. This is he sort of a space marine rolls his eyes at you.
Wow, you've truly become Nero.
I apologize. You asked me a question. I gave you an answer.
Achievement unlocked.
Achievement is cringe.
If we're not,
I'm sorry. You asked me a question. I just gave you an answer. I didn't realize it was the wrong one.
No, this is the consideration of whether we activate the full waking or we just wake an individual. It's not a question of how many individuals. If we're only going to wake them sequentially, then we'll start with the wardmaster and he can make further calls.
Oh, very well.
That's what we'll do.
Is it all one or not everything?
He turns to librarian and says, "Begin the waking rituals for Glendoir." So you have to sort of stand there watching as this whole Gaelic ritual is played out by the librarian, which also includes like the mechanical component of actually activating the various devices. And you sort of like, as you're amazed at how quietly the dreadnought sort of slowly sort of gather around, because you're sort of focused on what's happening at the with the librarian, that when you sort of look back and the dreadnoughts have sort of formed like a semicircle around where this is happening, quite silent. They've managed to really the conditions, although there'll be a lot of mechanical sounds and talking sounds going on. But finally,
I'm still not sure about that.
Fuck off, theory. Finally, like steam pours out of the stasis chamber, and the lid opens up. And after a few moments, a massive figure of a marine sits up, sort of trying to, like rub the sleep from his eyes, trying to straighten out his face and comprehend what's going on. Both of the two Marines here, not the Dreadnought, but the two Marines, like sort of drop to a knee as he sits up.
I don't do anything, man. I don't know this guy fucking shit.
Like Adrian's, like if the Lord Commander kneels, or the Lord Commodore kneels, he will also kneel. But I don't think the Lord Commodore is going to do that.
So can I get a little bit of context about this, by the way?
No, Pierre does not kneel. He doesn't really have a reason to.
This guy's a king.
Yeah, but that being said, he's no more important to you, Dawn, than the guy you've just been speaking with.
Okay.
You've been speaking with the chapter master. If this guy's an older chapter master, that's great. He might take over that job again. But it doesn't place him above the other guy in any sort of way. So,
there's only one man I look up to.
Yeah,
someone who's taller than you.
He's 900 feet tall and he sits on a golden throne.
Okay. He steps out of the chamber and he speaks briefly with McLear in Gaelic, or some variation thereof. I mean, if you've got Polyglot, it's really he's just trying to understand what's going on. Why has he been woken? You know, has a cure been found?
Yes, of course. I saw Underworld. Why have you awakened me?
Yeah, he's not played by Bill Nye either. Eventually, the newly awakened chapter master steps away from Ricklear and approaches you. And who are you?
I am Lord Captain Pierre Cowles of the Cowles Dynasties. I'm a rogue trader, obviously.
I've heard of your family line before. You've served in this sector for some time.
Indeed. I'm currently the last of the legacy.
Interesting. I understand that there is much I must be briefed on. We should head to the Strategium and discuss. So,
Sounds like a plan to me.
A short walking montage later, you were all in a large chamber.
Oh, don't listen. It's not just a short walking montage. It's like a fucking chaos.
It's a walk and talk, baby.
No, it's Chaos Gate Demon Hunters. You know, everyone moves really awkwardly with their huge armor, and then the Space Marines all spread out and take up as much space as physically possible.
I'm just imagining the Chad walk meme.
Yeah, exactly what's happening.
Well, Glenwood doesn't don armor; he just puts on a robe.
Yeah, but this guy's basically like the Space Marine version of a stand.
Why are you walking towards me? I can't hit you if I don't walk
just
towards
like,
you.
Muda.
Also, I love the idea.
He's a chapter master, right? He's a former chapter master.
Yeah.
I love the idea that we're walking and he's like, no discussion until we get to the Strategium. I do not wish to discuss.
I am resisting so hard fucking with this guy and just being like, it's been 10,000 years, chapter master.
McLear already told him the date. So he's been under for I think about close to 400 years. So
Cadia is now the center of all galactic commerce.
Zeech sits in his golden throne.
There are new super space marines that exist.
Not yet. We're getting there.
Soon, though. Very soon.
All right. So once you're all sort of in this Strategium, he has robes on.
But they're not closed.
Super awkward. I told my story on Discord this week about one of my staff who was turned to work with no shirt on.
Yes. Yeah.
After you told him that the shirt he had on before was inappropriate.
Yeah.
Anyway. So speaking with McLear and the ancients, they believe that the reason you are here has something to do with my experiences around the Nemesis incident. And that by bringing you up to speed on that, it may give you some guidance as to what you're trying to achieve. Does any of this make sense to you?
Yes. For the most part.
I look at my cat, feeling deeply betrayed.
How much do you understand about enslavers?
None of the party here has been briefed about the enslavers, Ward Master.
Well, to a very brief description that.
Well, we've already killed them, so they can't be that much more difficult than what they are.
Well,
right,
enslavers
start laughing.
Enslavers are a warp-born creature, race, not of chaos, but of the warp itself. Unlike demons who can manifest in the physical world, but are then subject to the drawback to the warp if they are not bound to an object, enslavers have physical bodies within the warp that can move through to real space when given the opportunity to do so through a portal or the like. They have an ability to control other races, particularly Terrans like us, even including those who have been gene-wrought by the Emperor's technology. And when enough are gathered together, they can use the combined minds of these individuals to form portals to bring additional enslavers through. But we're talking individuals, not the entire race. We were investigating in the Jericho Reach the concept that the pattern of dead worlds was a part of a long-term project by the enslavers to attempt to create a mass portal that would allow them to bring most of, if not all of, their race into real space, effectively invade the mortal worlds from the warp. They were attempting to corrupt the technology of the Jericho Warp Gate as the focal point of the pattern. There was a battle, the incident, Nemesis incident was referred, where a mass number of enslaved people, psychers and the like, attempted to attack and control the warp gate and complete their ritual to turn it into an aperture for which they could enter. When it began to activate, the manifestation of this was what appeared to be the formation of a planet or star forming within the warp gate itself. Individuals that witnessed it were driven to murderous rage. They fell upon each other. Marines were less affected, but the crews of our ships quickly succumbed to the impacts of this dark star. It was only through luck and perseverance of my brothers we were able to destroy enough of the enemy ships and forces to end the ritual and send the star back to wherever it was it came from.
Are you familiar with a story called The Tyrant Star?
Probably not,
No.
Lord Commodore. He's been in stasis for the last 400 years.
No,
Well, it's,
no.
I don't really recall at the moment how long ago the whole Harlock incident happened. So
I think
About 250 years ago.
I think the story he is telling us is the creation of the Tyrant Star, sir.
And this is a different story than how we've been told. Just to be
Yes.
clear, right? We were told Harlock harnessed the power of the Tyrant Star and created it, basically, by the Spider Bride, if I recall.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Hey, remember last episode when I said we should kill the Spider Bride?
we can't. She's perpetual. That's
The thing is, we could
think.
perpetually kill her. What if instead of killing her, we just covered her in spikes and dropped her to the bottom of a pit?
I think she would just spawn somewhere else. Isn't
No,
that how
we
that
keep her
works?
alive, give her an IV. Androchiron is certain that you can keep someone
An
alive
IV.
on IV.
Listen, there's a whole story about how Conrad was messing with Vulcan, trying to figure out how to kill him, even though he just kept on coming back.
Oh, bro, let me tell you something. I've read enough Wolverine comics. This can be done. We don't kill him. We keep her alive. Anyway, James, please continue telling your story that will rewrite everything we know.
In any case, our understanding is that through our battle in this incident, we prevented the enslavers from using the warp gate. And once we were able to remove their influence and their modifications to the gate, we no longer perceived the threat. However, we had all been infected by the enslavers' machinations, and we felt the drive to pursue or to create their warp portals. We can suppress it, but it remains there. It's why we decided to inter many of us within Dreadnought chassis, or otherwise turn to stasis until the enslaver threat could be ended once and for all.
Why have your dreadnoughts awaken you if the enslaver threat is not ended? Are you not still a risk to the Materium?
Individually, well, so yes, but there is time. I think that they felt that my knowledge of the incident would be beneficial here, that I can then return to stasis, and the remainder of my chapter can help deal with whatever this problem is.
Why didn't they just tell us? Why wake you up? It seems like a whole lot of frou-frou.
Frou-frou?
Frou-frou. It's a technical term, Don.
So those are interred within Dreadnought chassis. Their mind is simplified over time. Their perception of what happened would be skewed by the time they spend in the chassis and through the Newspheric link. Together, all of them could probably form the necessary information, but the time required may have been an issue.
That's why they left 22 of you in stasis to eventually retell the story.
Does this mean, so you mentioned this Tyrant Star, does this help you? Does this inform you in what it is you're working on?
It greatly alters our understanding of what is happening throughout the Imperium.
Initially, I was told that the Tyrant Star was created by a member of the Harlock dynasty which wanted to take revenge on his bloodline, and I think partially the Imperium of some sort, to some degree. Though it sounds like the Tyrant Star is made from other degree from these Seekers?
Enslavers. You're telling us that the Harlock bloodline, in fact, does not own the Tyrant Star, is not responsible for it contractually.
So there's at least a couple organizations I have some serious questions to that or just straight up need to kill at the moment.
Yep. I mean, the Inquisitor Lord, the Spider Bride have both lied to us outright.
And there's a whole group, a whole family of navigators that need to be murdered because they are just straight tainted. So these enslavers, are they connected to Zinch in some way, or are they just completely separate entities?
You mean the Lord of Change, right?
Sorry,
the
the Lord of Change. I'm good at
a room full of 20 dreadnoughts pointing guns at you.
No.
Yeah, we're on a first name basis.
Imagine being on a first slave basis with a Chaos God.
So the enslavers are enemies of the Chaos Gods. They compete for the same land, for the warp, except that I believe from the time that I've had connecting with the enslavers' hive mind is that they seek to move from the immaterium to the material world and rule, well, take this galaxy. But despite their name, they don't plan to subjugate the mortal races. They want to destroy the mortal races. So perhaps not only was their ritual to try and bring their entire race into this universe, but it was also to create something like this star that would cause the mortal races to destroy themselves.
Good to hear that they wanted to be living in a Materium world.
If they're enemies of chaos, then this potential of trying to get them out of the warp and into the Materium would also lead to them to bring more chaos into here, unless they don't follow the same rules as corruption as, well, us.
The way enslavers enter the material world is not the same as the way demons do.
Right. Whereas demons manifest, but these guys literally enter.
Yes, the same way a ship passes through the aperture of the warp.
I might just need to consider on what their idea is, because
Boardmaster, are you familiar with the blind tesseract?
No, that doesn't mean anything to me.
Oh yeah, we got to kill Sarah Grimal too. She clearly has lied to Adrian repeatedly. James been waiting 3 seasons to drop this shit on us and be like, everything I've repeatedly told you from multiple sources is a
Totally
lie.
false. Or at least partially false.
I don't know how partially false you can get beyond this car is 150 years older than your fucking deed says.
So these beings created a tyrant star to begin with. Would it be possible for them to create it again if they're given the chance?
Not through the Jericho warp gate. We disrupted the pattern and the warp gate to the point that the enslavers can never again use it. But they won't mean that they won't try and find something similar.
Like,
I think they found something similar. Because I've been sent on a quest in order to acquire a navigator of the Nocturne whose bloodline is essentially embedded with these enslavers, and I needed to find a pattern in order to get to the location of the blind tesseract, in which I needed a trinket or I can't remember what it was called what we called it at the moment.
The talisman.
Yeah, the talisman, in order, I guess, to probably open something.
it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Lord Commodore, but it was Lord Inquisitor Zerb who told us these things were needed.
I believe it was Lord Inquisitor first, and then the Spider Bride reiterated it. So I'm guessing at some point the Harlock line was about 200 years ago corrupted by the enslavers, which led them to create a access way to the Blind Tesseract to control the Tyrant Star. Though I guess, and this is theory crafting amongst all the red yarn walls, that somehow they wasn't corrupting them completely, that they didn't open a portal to let more enslavers in. I
feel like I've only given you half the story, and I don't know the other half.
You've been very helpful, Ward Master.
This is extremely eye-opening.
We think we may know who has the other half.
I need to return to stasis, but know this: the enslavers are the enemies of all life, and they are my enemies. That if you are doing anything to combat the enslavers, that MacLear here will bring the might of the Storm Wardens to bear, if that
Excellent.
will help you.
I have some locations for them to go.
There's a big snake face on Scintilla Moon that needs to get blown the fuck up.
Hard to miss.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at MacLear with a blank face because he was like, I don't know, I might have to kill all of you and your crew. And now this dude is like, I'll do whatever it takes to help you out. And I'm just like,
MacLear. It's like, MacLear, do whatever they want. This is my final order before I turn to an endless slumber.
Chapter Master, we need you to dance a jig. It's the only way to defeat the enslavers. All right. I mean, I show some deep respect to this guy, and then I leave to go back to the shuttle and wait to leave because I don't know that anything else is happening, and I'm so pissed.
Yeah, so MacLear is definitely not going to threaten you anymore.
Incredible. What must that be like for him? He's one of the most casually threatening people I've ever met. He's like the Nero.
He's the Nero of the Storm Wardens, yeah.
We should have had a title search done on the Tyrant Star. Got that Carfax report. Check the VIN. All right, I'm going to say something crazy real quick.
Yep.
after we hear whatever the Harlequins are about to tell us, that is also probably either partially true or outrightly a partial lie, I wonder if we should contact Evangeline and see what the Chaos faction is doing in all of this, because we've made some very serious assumptions about what's going on. And while the enemy of our enemy is not our friend, that doesn't mean that they're actively working against us. There's way too much weird shit going on right now for us to just dismiss.
You mean my sister who's being
Evangeline.
possessed? That sounds like a terrible idea.
But how do we...
That sounds like some heretical bullshit.
Let me ask you a question. Do we know that she really is possessed?
I don't want to find out.
We're pretty sure. We're pretty fucking sure.
Yeah? Who told us that?
Somebody's dreams.
Didn't we see her walk into a fucking mirror or some shit?
We were told that by a demon poster.
Yeah.
Do you like to be the one to try to contact her?
I mean,
Yeah.
he's gonna have to be.
I'm going to cast the sending spell, you know? 25 words
It's got a 5% fail chance if the target's on a different plane, though.
I don't know that she's a demon prince, James. I don't know anything right now. You literally went from here's the entire campaign, we're going towards the end of it, and then you're like, actually, flip the fucking table. Here's a guy who says that everything you know is a lie.
Yeah, it's just taped on the bottom of the table. It's just everything you know.
I'm gonna be
is a
honest,
lie.
I don't know who told us Evangeline was. I think it was the female inquisitor we met very early on. But I don't know who she works for at this port. There's so many people who've lied to us continuously. We cannot be certain.
It wasn't. I think her name is Pendergrass.
Yeah,
Anessa
Pendergast. I think
Yeah, it wasn't
Pendergast is the
her.
one that said that she was.
It was a spider bride.
I think Pendergast told us that she was part of the Acolyte team and that she was working for the Marionette now. And I think that the Spider Bride told us that Evangeline was the Marionette. That's my recollection, but I can't be 100% on that.
Okay, so the story.
The simple fact of the matter is that James is constantly flipping shit at us. He's like, everything you know is a lie. Is it crazy to just contact her and be like, hey, what's up? Like, what could go wrong from contacting a Demon Prince? He just sends back my name in reverse and seals me away. Like, what could go wrong? Like,
yeah. You turn into a giant, greater demon of Tzeentch, and we have to fight and kill you.
That's not how messaging works, though.
Look, brother, you're contacting her through the warp. That is warp.
It's like
power.
an email from a Nigerian prince. You send it, you click on the link.
You're clicking the link. You're clicking the link for sure.
Eventually responds with an attachment.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
please download this.
So, if you want to do
no reason to trust this guy either. Let's be clear here. We know he's compromised by an evil invading alien force from the warp.
You don't know that. He's told you that.
McClear told me that he was infected.
But also, he's been asleep for 400 years.
Oh my God, James.
Like the Ward Master has been out.
Why don't you just make us play
commission.
Dark Heresy? Why are we pretending to be rogue traders? Why, James? Why
So
we
we can make
masquerade?
So you'd be at a higher level.
So we're flying back to talk to the Eldar.
Yeah, that's the next step, and then after that, I think it's
Who lies to us next? Can't wait.
I think we do a Skype call with my sister, essentially.
Oh, we are going to do that plan now. Okay, great.
We're going to do a whole lot of precautions. We're going to ward a whole freaking room, bunch of nulls in the corner, getting ready to
like just out of range.
Dawn with the sword right at the back of the neck.
Okay, so you get back to the hand.
We go to the pilot ready room where they're waking baking.
Yeah, we're immediately going there.
No worries. Okay,
There's
so
like 3 bottles of Renka.
We just open the door and smoke just rolls out.
There's like the honor guards there, like getting ready to present arms. And there's Pierre's just like speed walking through, and they're like, "Oh shit!"
So when you go into the ready room, what they've done is they've moved all the chairs in the ready room into like an audience position, and they have like moved
It's a
boxes
play.
around or whatever.
Yeah.
They've literally set up a stage, and they're waiting expectantly there for you as you come in.
Now, James, I think you already know that I've taken skills that are very Harlequin-esque, including the Harlequin Remembrancer skill, which is actually also a human skill. So I'm very excited to see this play because it's my first time seeing Harlequin artistry. I've practiced it, but this is it's like if you learned Italian from reading a book and then you went to Italy for the first time. I'm super excited for this. I want to kill all of them, but I can't wait to see what happens.
But to watch their performance first.
Yeah, of course. Listen, these performances are so legendary that the Imperium allows Harlequins to perform them, despite the fact that they will openly slaughter Xenos. I can't wait. It's going to be the performance of a lifetime.
Yeah.
I sent for someone to bring us popcorn and soft drinks. Pepsi, which is a brand we can mention.
Yes.
You wish me to pop maize? Why?
So I'm thinking, because it's 20 minutes till we take a break. There is a lot of expedition to suddenly start. Do you want to take an early break and then come back and pick up from the play then?
Early break. This guy just
otherwise
implied it's going to be 20 minutes of expedition. Okay, Hideo Kojima, calm down.
Hey, I got a great idea.
Here's your baby. Now you have to walk across the
Don't
Imperium.
even. I just started playing that game yesterday. Don't even with me right now, Spoon. What the fuck?
I don't know, dude.
All right, and then Big Spoon, now take that baby and walk back across the Imperium. Okay.
Arcadia. All right, that's fine, James. You want to tell me I'm about to sit through more than 20 minutes of a play? I want a fucking playbill at the end of this. I want to know who's playing which characters and whether Steven Sondheim did the fucking vocal work for this, okay?
Okay.
I'm just saying, if Steven Sondheim made a deal with Kagoric, I would not be surprised. It's also the only musical artist, playwright that I know.
And do you only know him because of Dimension 20?
No, you made West Side Story.
Okay, yeah.
How dare you?
Look, hey, man. I just know that he features heavily in the first season of
both the people that they mentioned died shortly after that episode was released. Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Steven Sondheim both died.
Not shortly and what relative, yeah.
Brennan Lee Mulligan, the specter of death. All right, we'll be back in 10 minutes.